Yes, there's a lot of uncertainty with some of the issues related to regulation and tariff. Our guidance is making no assumptions about what they would be because it's really hard to forecast what's going to happen there.
Look, we're not talking about tariffs. Tariffs are going to hurt. But we're talking about the American consumer. And now this could mean that used cars come into vogue. But you've got a stock that has a 4 PE.
The unthinkable has just happened. This is after American automaker General Motors dared to challenge President Donald Trump in a shocking move that has caught everyone unawares. And now, Trump's furious response has set the stage for a showdown that could have far-reaching implications, not only for General Motors, but for the entire auto industry.
The final decision they'll have to make is how much capacity do they have to bring production back into the United States.
So, what has triggered GM to lash out at Trump? And what does this mean for the future of the already fragile American auto industry? Let's find out. General Motors has just made an audacious decision to go global, even if it means going against President Donald Trump's policy of America first.
Hey, Mike, it's a $1 billion investment that General Motors will be making in one of its plants down there. This is the plant that currently builds the Blazer as well as the Equinox. Unclear what vehicles will be built down there.
The company is shifting production overseas and betting big on electric vehicles to stay ahead in the global market. Needless to say, countless American workers are now facing job losses, with several U.S. factories shutting their doors for good.
In the Fox 2 Fast Lane, GM says it's laying off workers at its all-electric Factory Zero plant.
GM says this move has nothing to do with the recent tariffs policy introduced by President Trump, and it's all about innovation and long-term survival. However, to Trump and his supporters, this move feels like a betrayal of American workers. They claim that this was not a snap decision, it was a result of a well-thought-out strategy, and now the battle lines are drawn. And now, as expected, Trump has not wasted any time. Just hours after General Motors made its announcement, he went on the attack, blasting the company for what he termed as the highest level of corporate greed. He accused GM of betraying American workers and warned that the repercussions would be dire.
A couple of weeks before Christmas that she's going to close in Ohio and Michigan, not acceptable to me. And she's either going to open fast or somebody else is going to go in, but General Motors is not going to be treated well.
He even went ahead and imposed a 25% tariff on all General Motors imports.
The 25% tariffs apply to all vehicles and auto parts imported to the U.S.
As it turns out, behind the scenes, Washington was in panic mode as it feared that GM had already outshined it in this battle. The decision was made to explore anything that would work. Experts were looking at tariffs and other associated penalties that could potentially compel GM to back down. However, it was too late. The automaker had already outmaneuvered them. The more Washington tried to arm-twist GM to play to its tune, the more it dawned on them. This wasn't just a fight with one automaker. It was a rude awakening that big corporations were no longer afraid to make audacious decisions and play by their own rules. In fact, it soon became evident that GM was getting ready to make an even bigger move that would hit the Trump administration where it hurt the most. And now, GM has reaffirmed that it's not going to take all these just lying down. Rather than back down and rethink its strategy, the automaker has stood firm and confirmed that nothing will stop it from implementing its decision to shift production out of electric vehicles from the United States. Put simply, the company has stated that the future is electric and it's global.
It's $6.5 billion strictly dedicated to EVs, another $500 million going into modifying and helping a couple other plants there. 4,000 jobs will be added. A third Ultium battery plant will be built.
Through press releases, interviews, and media spots, GM positioned itself as a leader shaping the future, not following it. And when Trump called them out, GM pointed to its billions invested in American jobs, new tech hubs, and retraining programs, insisting this wasn't abandonment, it was adaptation.
New technology, new EVs, new commercial EVs, as General Motors tries to position itself as just as much a tech company as a car company. Let me show you.
Surprisingly, GM's strategy seems to be paying off. This is after analysts and investors started voicing their support for GM, calling the move smart and future-focused. It is during this time that the debate also seemed to shift, and many questions started arising. Was GM turning its back on America, the very country that has molded it to the auto behemoth that it is? Or was Trump's vision stuck in the past? It turns out that GM is not the only automaker deep in these murky waters. Other automakers have also been watching and planning for the future as well. Case in point, Ford, already juggling EV investments and overseas productions, finds itself in a dilemma: remain in the US or quietly follow GM's lead.
And the administration knows that, as well as congressional leaders. They know that Ford is the most American car company, we produce the most, and they have committed to us to strengthen our industry.
On the other hand, Toyota, with its global footprint, stayed calm but alert, well aware that new policy frameworks by Trump could still alter things. And Tesla, with its tight control over production and global production plans already in place, it looks more ready than anyone. It goes without saying, General Motors had sparked something bigger, a turning point for the entire auto industry. The question now is not just about one company, it's more of who's next. Stick around and subscribe to the channel as we reveal it all. It is now clear that the corporate response is just one part of the story. Workers and unions across the country are now deeply concerned. For decades, they have relied on the jobs offered by the likes of GM, and now they fear that this decision might be the start of a bigger shift that might impact their lives negatively.
I've been with GM 44 years, and we've seen a lot of changes over the years, and so it's getting progressively worse. So we're trying to change that for America.
With this, it is now obvious this isn't just a fight between GM and Donald Trump. Instead, it is reflective of the growing divide between corporate America and government policies. For years, companies had gone global, with these moves largely going unchecked and unquestioned. However, with the president pushing hard to bring jobs back home, that global approach is now experiencing significant pressure. However, some like GM have seen the opportunity in the midst of all these and are not about to allow anything or anybody to stop them. However, in a shocking turn of events that not even Trump never anticipated, GM seems to have been always ready for this war. Even before Washington issued tariff threats, the automaker had already kicked off operations across various regions, making it nearly impossible for Trump's policies to hurt its operational efficiency in the long run. While Trump was pushing for a return to traditional manufacturing, GM was a step ahead and had already set its sights on the future. It had also already established strong ties with international governments and entities, making it clear that no single administration could stop it in its tracks. For instance, in late 2023, the company partnered with Japanese automaker Honda in a move intended to develop and produce affordable mass-market electric vehicles.
General Motors and Honda announced on Tuesday that they will co-develop a line of affordable electric vehicles based on a new joint platform, deepening a partnership to bring EVs that cost less than $30,000 to the market.
This only means one thing. Trump might just have started a war that he was guaranteed of losing, and losing big. So, while GM and Trump go head-to-head, there are those that are quietly wishing for the battle to go on for longer. Battery makers, chip suppliers, and EV part manufacturers are seeing demand skyrocket as GM forges ahead with its long-term plan. And it's not just these suppliers that are cashing in. Startups like Rivian and Lucid are on the rise. While legacy automakers like GM grapple with the political fallouts, these newcomers are pulling in billions from investors, building market share, and slowly but surely winning over the market. Even some American politicians are backing GM's global playbook, not as a sellout move, but as a smart way to future-proof the industry. Their perspective? Competing globally doesn't mean ditching American workers. It means staying alive. So, where do you think this is all heading? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and see you in the next one.